right, guys, I hope you are doing great. So we are going to plot these points on the coordinate plane, and then we're going to answer these few questions at the bottom. So remember, when you are putting points on a coordinate plane, the first number tells you that if it's positive, you're going to go right from the origin. If the first number is negative, you're going to go left. If the second number is positive, we're going to go up. If the second number is negative, we're going to go down. So you always start at the origin, which is right here at 0, 0 on a coordinate plane. Okay, so -5, +3. So from the origin, I'm going to go left 5, and then +3. I'm going to go up on the y-axis, and there's my plot. There's my point. All right, now it tells me to go left 5, down 4. So from the origin, I go left 5, down 4. Then this tells me to go right 2, up 3, +2, +3, +2, +3. And then the last one says go right 2, down 4. Right 2, down 4. All right, so if I connect those dots, I've done much worse, you guys, done much worse than that. What are the side lengths of the rectangle? So this side is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this side is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's actually a square, isn't it? All right. So what is the area of this rectangle? So 7 times 7. In other words, 7 squared is 49 units squared. 49 units squared. Okay. All right, next question, next problems. On a coordinate plane, the coordinates for vertices R and T for a polygon are, R is at 1, 2, and T is at -4, 2. What is the length of the side RT of the polygon? So obviously these 2's are on the same position, but these, there's some difference between them, correct? So basically I want to know what's the difference between +1 and -4. So let's say I have a number line, and here's 0, and here's 1, and here's -1, 2, 3, 4. So how many spaces apart are 1 and -4? Well, I would go 1 space to get to 0, and then I'd have to go 4 more spaces, which means the difference between 1 and -4, the difference between 1 and -4, when I see minus the negative, I'm actually going to add, or in other words, I'm going to find the absolute value of 1. And the absolute, well, that's not gonna work. Anyway, so the length of side RT is 5 units because there's 5 spaces between these 2 digits on a number line. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If the area of a rectangle to be drawn is 20 square units, where should points B and D go? Or where should they be located if they lie to the right of points A and C? All right, so area is base times height or length times width, whichever way you want to say it. So we know that the space between A and C is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5 spaces, correct? So if we have an area of 20 and we know our height is 5, but we don't know the base, or I could use these letters, it doesn't matter. That's a B, not a 56. So I want to know, how long does this thing have to be to have a area of 20? So basically, to solve for B, 5 times B, if I do the opposite, I would divide both sides by B. I got my words mixed up today. I would divide both sides by 5, so our base would have to be 4 units long, right? Do you agree with that? So that's not the answer to the question. The question is, what are the coordinates of B and D? Well, if this has to be 4 units long, 1, 2, 3, 4, So letter B, I assume this is going to be B, would have to be at +1, +3. And letter D, if I go 4 units to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, it would have to be at +1, -2. -2. Those are where our new points would have to be, at 1, 3, and 1, -2. I hope that makes sense to you guys. All right, the next one says, the coordinates are the 3 vertices of the rectangle. Identify the 4th coordinate and the area of the rectangle. Well, we have to have 4 90-degree angles for a rectangle. So we have, so where does D have to be? D, we're going to have to go straight up, right? We'd have to go straight up from C, and also we'd have to go straight across to letter D right here. So we'd have to have the same X value. The first number would have to be the same as C, so that's +7. And our Y value on our Y-axis, we went up 2. So D is going to have to be at 7, 2. And then the question is, what is the area of the rectangle? Well, this length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this length should be 9. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're right. So the area of this rectangle, 9 times 5 is 45 units squared. All right, polygon ABCD has the following vertices. All right, what is the area of the polygon? All right, so our rectangles, if you notice, 2 of the numbers have to have the same X value, just like this number and C. So D and C both have an X value of 7, right? And then 2 other numbers have to have the same Y values. So the Y values are going to be 2, and D has a value of 2, but also B and C both have the same Y values of -2. I'm sorry, -3. I wrote the wrong number here, didn't I? -3 and -3. So in order to find the dimensions, we got to figure out what's the difference between the different Y values and the different X values. All right, so what are you trying to say, Ms. Richardson? You are confusing me. All right, so let's look at these X values. All right, so the first number always represents X and the second number always represents Y. So if you notice, our X value for B and C, those are the same, right? So there's no difference between 4 and 4. Also, A and D have the same X value, -2 and -2. There's no difference between -2 and -2. So we got to find the difference between those 2 different X values. So -2 and 4. We want to know how far apart -2 and 4 are. So if here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and -2 is right here, how many spaces separate 4 and -2? Well, that's going to be 6. So our rectangle, 6 units wide. And now let's look at our Y values. Our Y values, we have 2 -2s, no difference between -2 and -2. We have 2 3s, right? No difference between 3 and 3. So we want to know what's the difference between 3 and -2. 3 and -2. So 1, 2, 3. And -1, -2. What's the difference between these two? How much space is between 3 and -2? I would go to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my dimensions of my rectangle is 6 and 5. And then to find the area, I multiply 6 and 5 together. So the area would be 30 units squared. How you guys feel about this? All right, find the area of each. So I'm going to make this, it looks like a cross to me, so I'm going to make it into 4 rectangles. How about that? So this square right here at the top is a 2 by 2. So I know 2 times 2 is 4. This square right here is also a 2 by 2. 2 by 2 is 2 times 2 is 4. 2 by 2 is 4. And then this rectangle is 2 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want the whole rectangle, including this section. So 6. This is 6 units long right here. So 6 times 2 is 12. So I'm going to add up 12, and then I have 3 sets of 4. So another 12. And I know the whole figure takes up 24 squared units. All right, now this is a parallelogram. A parallelogram has 2 sets of parallel lines. Now, last week we talked about turning this thing into a rectangle and 2 triangles, but for any parallelogram, the area is just the base times the height. Base times the height. And we know both of those things. So we don't even have to convert this to a rectangle and 2 triangles. Now, if we had a what's it called, trapezoid, we would need to do that. But for right now, let's just find the area of this parallelogram because we have 2 sets of parallel sides, and we're just going to multiply 13 times 5.8. So 13 meters times 5.8 meters is 5.8 is 75.4 meters squared. Okie doke. All right. You have anything else on this slide? Yes, we do. All right, there's another parallelogram. How do I know this is a parallelogram? Because I have 2 sets of parallel sides. So last week we talked about we could turn this into a rectangle and 2 triangles, but it's a parallelogram, guys. We don't have to do that. We just need to know the height. The height is always given with this 90-degree angle right there. We're given that 90-degree angle right there. So we know the height is 15. And the length of the whole side, we need the length of the whole side. So the length of the whole side is 20. So we're not even going to use that 4, okay? So we're going to multiply 15 times 20. So I know 15 times 2 is 30. So 15 times 20 has got to be 300. And those are both feet. Feet times feet is feet squared. 300 feet squared. All right, surface area. Now this is this takes a little bit of work because for surface area you have for rectangular prisms you're going to have 6 sides, and for triangular prisms you're going to have 5 sides. So if I have a rectangular prism, I'm going to make myself a little code over here. I'm going to say top, bottom. I know the top and the bottom have the same dimensions. I know side and the 2 sides have the same dimensions, and I know the front and the back are going to have the same dimensions. Well, a rectangular prism, what's true is that all the sides are rectangles. So to find the surface area of the whole thing, we got to find the area of each side and then add all those 6 sides together. Okay, so the top, I want to know the dimensions of the top. So the top is this by this. And what are those dimensions? 15 by 21 and a half. I'm going to, in my calculator, I'm just going to say 21.5 times 15, and I get 322.5, and that's the top and the bottom. So I'm going to make sure I write that down twice. All right, now the 2 sides, how long are those sides? The sides are 15 by, how tall are they? 8.4. So 15 times 8.4 is 126. And I know both sides have those same dimensions. And then I have a front and a back. So the front of the box is 21.5 by 8.4. So 21.5 times 8.4. And that's 180.6. And there's 2 of those, right? Front and back. So I'm going to add up all of that stuff. You guys do it too. And see if I make a mistake. I make lots of mistakes. I love when you guys catch my mistakes. Makes me know that you're really paying attention. 1,258 and 2/10 inches squared, because it is area. Okay, that's what I got. See if you guys get the same thing. All right, the next two are triangular prisms. So triangular prisms means the base is a triangle, but all the sides are rectangles. So for triangular prisms, we have a front and a back, and then we have three sides. Sometimes those three sides are the same length and sometimes, area, and sometimes they're not. All right, now the thing about triangles, remember, you have to remember that the area of a triangle is half the base times the height, okay? So actually, I'm gonna do this right here, and I'll show you why in just a second. So the base of this triangle is 24, and the height is 5. Remember, we gotta look for that right angle that tells us our base and height. Where those two lines meet, that's our base and heights of a triangle. So we're gonna do 24 times 5. 24 times 5 is 120. Now, if I only had one triangle, I would half 120 and I'd get 60. But since there's two of them, I'm just going to go ahead and say, well, I know that 60 plus 60 is 120. So the front and back together equals 120. Do you understand why I did this? All right, now I have three sides. I'm going to look at this side right here. So this side right here, first thing I'm going to do in my calculator is figure out what 4 divided by 5 is, and I know it's 0.8. So my calculator, I'm going to use 35.8 for this length here. And I want to know how tall this rectangle is. Well, this rectangle is 13 inches tall. So I'm going to multiply 35.8 times 13, and I get 465.4. And there's actually two sides that are the same. This side over here that we can't see, the one in the back, is also the same dimension. So I'm going to write 465.4. And then there's a bottom of this thing, right? The bottom of this thing is 24 inches wide. And how long is it? It's 35.8 inches long. So 24 times 35.8. So on the very bottom, which I called a side, so however you want to label it so you don't get confused. You just got to know there's 5 different sides of a triangular prism. All right, so I'm going to add up all these numbers. 859.2 plus 465.4 plus 465.4 plus 120 for both of my triangles put together, and I got 1,910 inches squared because it is surface area. Okay. All right, let's try the next one. All right, so we have two triangles. We have the sides. So we have the triangles. We have front and back. So I'm going to do this again. And then I have three sides. Side, side, side. All right, you guys pause and see what you get. All right, so my triangle is an 8 by 6. It gives me this beautiful little right angle. So I know the height is 8 and the base is 6. So 8 times 6 is 48. Now, if it was just one triangle, I would have 48, but there's two of them, right? The front and the back are both triangles. So together, the area of those two triangles put together is 48. All right, what about the front of this thing? One side, I just called that the front. I need to stop contradicting myself. One of the sides is a 6.5 by 10. What's 6.5 times 10? 6.5 times 10 is 65. All right, now this triangle, all the sides are different dimensions because the back, the one that we can't see hidden back here, I know this is 6.5 inches long. I also know that it's 8 inches tall. It helps if you just kind of trace those, then you see that back rectangle. 6.5 times 8. So 6.5 times 8 is 52. And then I have the last side, which is sitting on this side, which is, I guess you could call that the bottom, right? 6.5 times 6. 6.5 times 6. 6.5 times 6 is 39. So did you guys get my same numbers? So 39 plus 52 plus 65 plus 48 for both triangles is 204. So let me know if you got the same answer or you disagree with me. All right, now these are all pyramids, right? goodness, we have a lot of questions this time. Now, these are pyramids. Well, the thing about pyramids is that the base of a pyramid, or these are actually, it tells you right here what the base is. Duh, square based. So the thing about pyramids is that the base can be a square or a rectangle, and all the sides of pyramids, what did I just say? All the sides of pyramids are triangles, right? So we know we have a square on the bottom, and then we're going to have 4 triangles. Square on the bottom and 4 triangles. So we have a square, and then we have triangle, triangle, triangle. All right, so what is the area of our square? Well, this one is a 0.7 times 0.7. 0.7 squared is, our square is 0.49. And then our area, we have to look for that right angle, you guys. So it's pointing right here, 8 feet tall times 0.7 of a foot. And I got 5.6. And those are all going to be equal because the bottom is a square. Oh, Miss Richardson, that's a triangle. What did I forget to do? Oh my goodness. Y'all are about to email me, weren't you? Miss Richardson, you didn't have it. It's a triangle. You always have to have something. So these are actually 2.8, 2.8, 2.8. That was so close. All right, so 2.8 times 3 plus our 0.49. The surface area is 8.89, 8.89. All right, now you guys do the other 2, and I want you to send me your answers, and I will put them on Canvas so you can double check that. But I'm just running out of time here. I have another Zoom in just a few minutes. All right, so do those. Do number 6. Check the Canvas page for your answer. Make sure you get it right. All right, now the volume of figures for rectangular prisms, all you're going to do is multiply for volume. You're going to multiply base. Whoops, wish I wrote a B. Base times length times height. That's all you do. Base times length times height. That's what volume is. Base times length times height. Base times length times height. Anytime I can turn a fraction into a decimal, I'm going to. So 3.5 is 3.5. So 3.5 times 1.5 times 3, and I get 15.75, 15.75. And then inches times inches times inches is inches cubed. Okay, volume's always cubed, area is always square. Or I could write 15 3/4 inches cubed. So volume's the easiest thing to do. You just multiply the 3 dimensions together. All right, so cube A is telling me this is a cube, which means all of the sides are the same dimensions. So if all 3 sides, 3, 3, and 3, 3 times 3 times 3, basically I'm just cubing 3. That's why it's a cube. 3 cubed. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27 inches cubed. Okay. And then the next one says, what about if all 3 sides are 3/4 inches? 3/4 inches, 3/4 inches, and 3/4 inches. Well, I'm going to do the same thing, guys. I'm going to say 3/4 times 3/4 times 3/4, which is the same thing as 3/4 cubed, right? So in my calculator, I can just make this super easy. I could just say, what's 3 times 3 times 3? I already know that's 27 because I already did it up here. And I could say, well, what's 4 times 4 times 4? Well, it's 64 inches cubed. Now, if I want to double check, I'm going to type in 24 over 64 in my calculator, and I'm going to hit equals to see if it simplifies it, if it reduces it, and it doesn't. So that is actually lowest terms. All right, you guys. I hope you understood that. I want you to go back and make sure you do these 2, check Canvas, see what the answer is, and let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions, always get in touch with me. If not, everyone have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.